Hey guys, so before we move into the different types of sentences, there's four different types of sentences, right? There are simple sentences, compound sentences, complex sentences, and compound complex sentences. Before we move into those, though, it's really important that we understand the difference between a phrase and a clause, okay? So you're going to be asked, we're going to do a little bit of IXL phrase versus clause practice. So you'll have a sentence, and then they'll give you a bolded group of words, and you have to decide whether it is a phrase or a clause. So the way that phrases and clause differ is that a clause, right, and again, it can be dependent or independent, has a subject and a predicate, right? So that means that it has a noun and a verb. Okay. A phrase doesn't have a subject, a predicate, or both. It might be missing those things. Okay. Wash the dishes in the sink after dinner. So wash the dishes in the sink after dinner is the predicate, right? That's what happened, but we don't have the subject. So this is a phrase, okay, and this whole thing would be a clause because it has a subject and a predicate. The new physician at the hospital. So the new physician is our subject, but we still don't have a verb, right? It's just telling me where he is. He's at the hospital. So this is a phrase and not a predicate, okay? Or rather, a phrase and not a clause. A clause has both. It has a subject and a predicate, right? She can speak two languages fluently. She is my subject. Can speak is my predicate, right? It's my verb, right? Subject she and a predicate can speak two languages fluently. The Hall of Records, which is found behind Mount Rushmore, okay, which is my subject, is found, is my predicate. Okay, it's my verb. And then my complete predicate would be is found behind Mount Rushmore. Goodness. So this one then, the U.S. Marshals is a federal law enforcement agency. So U.S. Marshal Service, subject, is a federal law enforcement agency, predicate. So that makes it a clause because it has both. Okay, it is a clause. So we're going to do a couple of practices here. Crayfish are often associated with water, but the prairie crayfish can be found in pastures where they live in underground burrows. So crayfish, subject, are often associated with water. Predicate, that makes it a clause. Humans are classified as omnivores, right? So humans, subject, are classified as omnivores. Predicate, clause. The appliance store's policy allows returns for 30 days. So we have allows, which is our predicate, right? But this is our subject. So this is just a phrase. The champion didn't expect the challenger to be such a formidable opponent, but despite her small size, the challenger possessed brute strength, right? So challenger subject, possessed brute strength, predicate, clause. The most successful advertising slogans are those that have the ability to endure, such as "Just do it" or "When you are close enough," or "When you care enough to send the very best." I don't know what that's from. I know that's Nike. The most successful advertising slogans is the subject, right? And then "are those" would be our predicate. So this is just a phrase. Although poisonous and potentially deadly, pufferfish are a delicacy in countries like Japan and China, right? Pufferfish here would be my subject, right? Are a delicacy is part of, so this is part of my predicate, but it's a prepositional phrase because we have in, right? In countries like Japan and China. So this is a prepositional phrase, so it's a phrase. Beta carotene is typically found in fruit that has bright colored flesh, yet cantaloupes, which are paler than oranges, contain 10 times more beta carotene. So this is like that practice one that we saw, right? We have which is my subject, right? Are paler than oranges is my predicate. So this is a clause. Did you know that tarantulas can survive for as long as 2 years without food? So can survive for as long as 2 years without food is my predicate. I don't have a subject in this bold, so this would make it a phrase. Patty's suitcase was too large to fit in the overhead bin. So this is a complete sentence, right? So that means that it has to be a clause, right? This is an independent clause. Although both are formed by mineral deposits and caverns, stalactites are the formations that hang from the ceiling of the cave, whereas stalagmites build up from the ground. So here we have stalagmites, which is my subject. I've got build up from the ground, which is my predicate. This is a clause. West Point, the oldest military academy in the United States and one of the most prestigious, has produced many distinguished graduates, including Jefferson Davis and Edwin E. Buzz Aldrin. Okay, so West Point is my subject, has produced is my predicate. This, right, is telling me more about West Point, right? So that would make it a positive phrase, right? Because it's renaming this noun, right? It's telling me more about West Point. So this is a phrase. The solid portion of a comet comprises leftover debris, ice, dust, rock that originated in the outer regions of the solar system. So we've got comet, or right, the solid portion of a comet, which is my subject. I don't have a predicate, right? It's over here, originated. That originated is my my verb. So this is just a phrase. Among bats, there are species that can reach speeds of more than 50 miles per hour. Okay. So bats is my subject. So we know that this is part of the predicate. So this has to be a phrase. Okay. So this should get you ready for being able to identify simple, compound, complex sentences, because compound complex sentences and complex sentences are tricky if you don't know the difference between a phrase and a clause, which is what I found when I was trying to practice it myself, actually. When I was getting ready for these videos, I kept messing up on complex sentences in particular and compound complex because I was confusing phrases and clauses. I was thinking phrases were a clause, but so I had to go back and do this. So I figured this would be good for you guys too. So remember, okay, phrase does not have a subject or a predicate, okay? Or maybe both. Clauses always have both. They always have a subject, they always have a predicate. And that's really important. It may not be a complete sentence, but it has a subject and it has a predicate. All right. Let me know if you guys need any help. Otherwise, be working on your projects. Bye.